Check out this APY on uninvested cash. With Robinhood Gold, you get significantly higher rates than without a gold subscription, making your uninvested cash work as hard as you do. And if you love perks, get a 3% IRA match on eligible contributions into your retirement account. Ready to level up your investment potential? Subscribe now and make the most of your money with Robinhood Gold. Acorns makes investing really easy. So I would put $20 every single week into my investment account, and then they would do the rest. If you've got $10 to invest, if you've got $100, if you've got $1,000, whatever you have, start waiting for $5 Fridays.
We're going to do a little bit of oranges, a little bit of
with Kyrie and the rest of the guys. He fits right along with our time frame to win now and win in the future. And the future to me is 3-4 years from now. The future 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't think they probably bury me and Jay or we bury ourselves. Yeah.
I think just in shock, but unfortunately, I've been in this league for a long, long time. So I've seen a lot. I've been involved in trades by the Mavericks, and so it is part of the business. It is a little shocking, but like in the sense we have to push forward. We, as a organization, as a team, we have a game to play, and we have to be pros about it. But we understand what Luka has meant to the Mavericks, and we wish him and his family the best in LA, and also Maxey and Smooth. But we have to push forward, and we believe we have a team that can do that.
All right, so Nico Harrison feeling pretty good about his squad. Kenny the Jet Smith joining us now. And Kenny, let's start there. Do you agree with Nico? They're in a better spot now to win.
The only way you could judge the people being better is when actual play happens. So I wouldn't say that you're better or worse. The game has to be played. But on paper, he can feel that way. To me, there's only 2 or 3 questions that make sense. Is one, the behavior of individuals with that talent within inside of the organization. Do they have leadership qualities that they felt that could lead them on? And thirdly, the Supermax. Were you willing to pay it? So if any of those answers were no, that's why this trade happened. But if all 3 of those was yes, like we all thought that was, from the outside looking in, we all thought those 3 answers were yes.
And hey, Jed, the reality, don't you think though, if there were no extenuating circumstances,
a supermax was not an issue. You know, like it's there are certain guys in organizations you're dying to pay. Like if Steph Curry were up in his prime, do you think they would be hesitant to pay him the supermax, or LeBron, or some of these are all-time great players? Like Luka's resume speaks all-time great. I mean, 5-time All-NBA first team. So to me, this is not about paying him. The issue was why they had a concern to pay him, right? It wasn't that we got to max him out. Like if there weren't issues from a leadership standpoint, from things that are going on internally, and Chuck talked about this because nobody knows Luka like that organization. And so in order for them to want to go in a different direction, something must not be right.
How do you trade up from a first-team All-NBA player? You don't, GA. Like, you don't trade up. You can equalize it. At best, you're going to be the same because the guy has first team, like you said, All-NBA. You don't trade up from Jason Tatum right now. You don't trade up from those guys are first-team All-NBA players. So to do that means that there is, like you said, extenuating circumstances that are beyond basketball. And those things are the things that either rub the company or an organization the right way or rubs them the wrong way. You know, I've been in the league long enough as well, Greg, where we had a coach of the year one time, Don Chaney, bless his soul. He was the coach of the year, and he used to play music while we stretched in the arena. And everyone was like, oh, he's such a player's coach. The very next year, he played music. And they were like, he has no control over the team, and they fired him. So it's just how you do things. So, you know, for the Dallas Mavericks, there was a view, obviously by Nico as well, to say that there's something internally that he's not doing to help us stay at that level, even though he's playing at that level.
And then when you look at Luka Doncic and you look at LeBron James, and I know you said you got to see the games, right? Obviously, they got to be healthy. You got to see the games. But on paper right now, anyways, the way they play the game, can they mesh? Do they mesh? How do you see that playing out?
Well, both teams are going to play different because now the Dallas Mavericks will play a little bit more traditionally, where they don't, you know, if you look at the time of value of the ball that Luka has in his hand, that's a traditional way of playing. The only player that's really played like that in his whole career at one time was James Harden. We had the ball that much, you know. LeBron didn't even play that much with the ball prior to the last couple of years. So it's just no one played that way. So they'll play more traditional. Now, I just don't think the Los Angeles Lakers they're going to stay fit because there's still some other moves. I think both teams still need pieces to get to where they're going, but they do have assets to make it happen because now you don't have size in the front court that the Lakers, you know, they don't have it. So now what are you going to do? So there are going to be some other moves, I think, if they're trying to be on a championship year this year. And with LeBron James, every year has to be a championship type year.
You know, Kenny, you make a great point. The one thing about it when you look at, you know, what you need, it's always relative to who you have to beat, right? And so if you look at the Western Conference, if OKC is the juggernaut, they're the favorite. It was a team you beat last year in the postseason when they were also the 1 seed. Now they have definitely improved as well, but ultimately it's going to be about, okay, how do we match up with the Joker in Denver, right? Because that's got to be a concern. You're going to have to be able to be strong at that center position. OKC and Dallas now both address that. But when you look at the landscape of the West, and you, again, we don't know because we haven't seen AD there, but if healthy, do you sense like this Dallas group at least has enough to compete with the West as it's presently constructed?
File your taxes 100% free in the app if you didn't use us last year. Just file with TurboTax Do-It-Yourself by February 18th. All tax forms and tax situations. Make the switch to TurboTax Do-It-Yourself and file free by February 18th. Download now.
You know, one thing, yes, I'll answer the short term and the long term. Yes, they have enough to compete. You know, Anthony Davis is a first teamer, all NBA performer when he's playing at his best. Now you have, like I said, a traditional lineup. PJ Washington is very underweight rated, and you know, we all saw what Gafford and Lively can do in a playoff setting. They can change the dynamics. They have guys coming off the bench with Dinwiddie and Christie. But the question is, with AD is, there's 15 outfits in AD's closet that we know we're gonna see, and that is what we sometimes can be concerned about. And if we don't see his outfits, and we don't know what he's gonna wear to the game, then he is an all NBA type performer. And so he doesn't. You don't drop off. And only being 31 years old, he's been in the league a long time. But he's 31 years old because he came out after his freshman year out of Kentucky. So he's a liar. We know him a lot more than he in his actual age. You know what I mean? So he can play at a high level. And then you talk about bigs in the West. He dominates them offensively. Anyone. There's no one that he doesn't dominate. Joker, anyone you can miss, he doesn't dominate offensively.
We're talking about one more question for you. He was saying Anthony Davis should be pissed, right? He goes, Luka Doncic should be pissed. You've been traded before, so you know what it feels like. You feel, especially with Luka, that we could potentially see the best version of him. Maybe he can figure it out with LeBron James around him, conditioning-wise. I mean, do you think maybe over the next year and a half we may potentially see the best version of Luka Doncic?
Well, I've been traded, but not on the magnitude of this because it's really, these guys, they played at the highest level that their body and their mind has taken them to and still got traded. So that is a different mindset. At times, other players maybe haven't reached their potential, about to reach their potential, could reach their potential. That's how sometimes I was treated. Like, he could reach his potential. Let's go get him. It wasn't like, no, I'm all first team all NBA. I've done everything. I've been in the finals last year. I was the best player on the best team in the West. Like, no, that's a different mindset. I think also, this is just my feeling, that there's a feeling that maybe he was giving like a body language that he wasn't going to be there, and he wasn't all in. And that's the only way he traded Luka Doncic. That there has to be some body language, some non-verbal communication to let me know you don't want to be there, and it has to be loud. It can't be whispered. It can't be some guy knows. I have to see it for a long period of time to say, you know what, I can't invest $350 million, $345 million in a guy and be a team. Well, like you said, more information will probably come in the coming days. By the way, you should see just he is trade stars for stars. I'm trying to remember, I've been in the NBA for 40 years. Normally when you trade a star, you get a bunch of jump back. This is the first time I can remember when you got two all NBA players traded for each other. I mean, obviously, I don't remember every trade, but I'm trying to think. You guys got a great staff there behind the scenes. I don't remember the last time we traded an all, probably never when you traded an all NBA player
player for an All NBA player. So that's probably. And the second thing is, normally when the stars get traded, you hear a lot of rumblings, and you just put them up for the highest bidder. So I think those are the two first aspects of this trade that are shocking. Star for star, and normally, like, they didn't go for the highest bidder. They went for a quick deal, and it was over.
Would you have taken a different approach there? Would you
Alright,
have
so we letting
gone
this
to
simmer get a
other
little
teams
crisp.
to
I'm
at
gonna
least
finish it off
see
in the
what's out
oven.
there?
We'll
And
start
then if
off with
Anthony
that.
Davis is the
Got
best deal, the best
ribs,
player, you can get
got
that
a
package
seafood
with that, you
pasta.
go with it. But at least go see what's out there.
I'm gonna make a teriyaki sauce for the salmon.
Well,
I'm gonna make like a pineapple honey sauce for the ribs.
The All NBA player. Like, that kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Like, if they take another deal, they might get a bunch of draft picks and a couple role players. They got an All NBA player back. So they unless you get Joker, Giannis.
As a member of Navy Federal Credit Union, Rob feels financially at ease, which means he can worry about other things like, what if the fish is really big? Become a member today. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission.
I'm trying to think. All NBA Embiid be the only other guy, but you're not taking Embiid. No, you're not taking Embiid with his injury history. So they got a really good deal. Now, listen, the Mavs obviously had to make a decision this summer whether to give him 5 years, $350 million. That's a lot of money to give a guy you don't think can stay in shape who's always going to be hurt. And let me tell you something. The only people know Luka Doncic is the Dallas Mavericks. Guys who've been with him for years or who are around him every day. He's a great player. He's a great player. But all us talking heads, they know something. They must know something we don't know. Because, listen, he's been hurt. Everybody complains about his conditioning. But once you give a guy 5 years, $350 million, y'all are stuck together for life. So this is going to be a great trade to see what happens the next X amount of years. I think the Mavericks are a win. Because, listen, I don't know who the second best team in the West is. The Oklahoma City Thunder are terrific. But I actually think, in my opinion, the Mavs are in that conversation as the second best team there right now. And the Lakers got what they wanted. They got a superstar going forward. I do think this kind of sets the end to like the LeBron James making all the decisions. They're like, hey, we love you, LeBron, but we're going to start what's doing best for the Lakers. That's what I got out of this trade from a Lakers standpoint. Because I don't know if they didn't come tell LeBron, because number one, Clutch Sports is Anthony's agent. But it seems like to me, they're like, hey, you know what? LeBron's on his last legs. Let's start getting us a star for the future. And it's going to be fun to talk about this trade, step back and watch who wins the trade. I think both teams have to win a championship to say they won the trade. Both teams have to win. The only way you can win this trade if you win the championship. Like I saw Nico say, they probably got a 3 to 5 year window because Kyrie's great, Anthony's great, and they got a really good team down there. The only downside with Luka being 25, they probably got a 10-year window. But whoever wins the championship is going to be the winner of this trade, plain and simple. Chuck, you hit it on the head, and that's what you're saying is kind of where I am. Like, I think it's a really good trade for both teams for different reasons. Because I think in Dallas's case, Dallas is win now mode. And you heard Nico talk about he fits their timeline. Him and Kyrie are in essence the same age. They got a really good roster. And the one issue Anthony Davis has always had is, I want to play my natural position before. Well, they got a two-headed monster at the center position with Lively and Gafford. I feel like, to your point, I feel like they are, if they stay healthy, that they are built to be that team in the Western Conference. OKC has been amazing, but they match up. They're going to be hard for people to score on because they don't just have great bigs. They got great bigs that can play at all three levels. When you talk about a young, lively Anthony Davis, as great as he is defensively, he's also really good offensively. He's a guy that can get you 30 a night in a matchup nightmare. And for the Lakers with Luka, they've now got a new face of the franchise. That guy is box office. And I think I guarantee you, Chuck, you can speak to this. It probably humbled him a little bit to be traded like that because he thought he had the keys to that franchise, which he did. But there were definitely rumblings that they weren't thrilled with his approach to the professionalism of taking care of his body and investing in himself in a way where they felt comfortable. Because you know this, Chuck, they didn't have a problem paying him the money. If Luka hadn't shown them that maybe he wasn't as committed to his body, I don't think we'd ever be in this situation. But for that is why this deal ultimately happens.
Well, Luka has to do a better job with his body, Greg. Let's get that out the way. Listen, everybody's talking about it, so clearly he's got to do a better job of taking care of his body. But hey, listen, they had to make a decision. Do we give this guy $350 million and we stuck with it for the rest of his career? Number one, it probably was a shock. Wait a minute. It's still a shock to his system. It ain't when my phone started going crazy last night, I actually thought somebody like this.
You thought it was DoorDash? You thought it was DoorDash?
No. Look, you know what? I thought it. You know how these fake things come out when somebody died. These internet idiots, when they said somebody died, they did that. Like, this can't be true. Because I was actually watching the Lakers-Knicks, and I get this thing on my phone. I'm like, well, this is somebody playing a joke. Then I go to ESPN. They got college basketball on, and nothing's happening. Then I go to ESPN2, see my girl Shea Cornett, and I'm like, they're not even talking about it. And I'm flicking back and forth. I had 10 people texting me like, dude, I don't know anything. I'm just sitting here watching just like everybody else. Then I go back to Shea Cornett, and she said, we have breaking news. And I'm like, damn, it was a shock. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been in here for 40 years, Greg. I've never been more shocked because there was no grumblings. I mean, everybody's been talking about Jimmy Butler and De'Aaron Fox for the last few days. And then you get two all-NBA players. That's the thing. Like, I was a great player and it was all over the internet. I'm so old, I didn't have internet. It was all over the newspapers for 2 years. Nobody ever thought that Anthony Davis and especially Luka Doncic, especially the way AD's been playing, he's been all NBA. And Luka, he's been the face of that franchise from day one. Man, I don't think I've ever been more shocked. But hey, listen, I'm going to say this for the last time. Nobody knows Luka Doncic better than the Dallas Mavericks. And let me tell you something else, Greg. This thing is not going to be smooth in LA with him and LeBron. Because both of them want the ball 100% of the time. I think that's going to be, I don't know if, because Luka does not move without the ball. LeBron does not move without the ball. There's going to be some serious growing pains when those two try to play together. Now, they're both great players, don't get me wrong. But LeBron wants the ball, and Luka definitely wants the ball. So it's going to be very interesting how that work out. And when Anthony Davis is healthy, it's going to be a seamless transition to Dallas, plain and simple. Because, he complains all the time about the five. I don't even understand why he complains about the five. Unless you're playing against Joker or Embiid, do we have any more big guys in the league?
It's a good question. I think you're spot on with that. I will say the other aspect of it, though, if you're the Lakers and if LeBron's a part of the near future, they can't win enough possessions with that roster. And to me, that's what it's going to come down to. Like, Luka and LeBron could get 30 each, but they can't compete on the backboard.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Greg. And they both can give up 30.
Yeah. Exactly. And they ain't got no backline help. They don't have, well, I will say, they got Finney Smith and Vanderbilt. That does help, but they still are going to struggle to control that backboard. That's where, as that roster is now. So I also, don't you get a sense, Chuck, that they're going to probably, the Lakers have to do something else if they're trying to win now?
Well, they gave away their best player. They don't have anybody else to give away.
Wait a minute. Are those shades? Are your glasses turning color?
Leave my glasses alone. Hey, listen, kids at home, don't let people make fun of you. They call you 4 eyes. Don't worry about it. What's the one thing you're able to see? So I can see, Greg. I can see. Hey, Greg, Greg, me and you, I think I'm a little older than you. You've been around. Have you ever been more shocked?
No.
Me either.
No. And I think that's and this is where you got to give Nico and the Mavericks a lot of credit, because nobody saw this coming. Nobody. There is no scenario where anybody can honestly tell you they thought that this was a possibility. And I think that's why they were able to pull it off, and it's probably why. And you made a great point earlier. They weren't trying to rebuild. Normally, when you trade that superstar, the team that's trading them, they're rebuilding. They said, no, we wanted Davis because he fits our timeline. We feel like we can win now. And I think a lot of it is because, as great as OKC is, they haven't proven it in the postseason yet. And it gives those other teams more confidence when you get to the postseason, because they're going to be so reliant on young players. I think SGA is the MVP this year. I mean, we still got a little ways to go, but he's going to get my vote if this continues.
I'm Erica Swenson, the Chief Financial Officer at Venture Solar. I don't have a lot of time to explain what my company needs and when we need it. When I have a question, the American Express customer service team goes above and beyond. Every call, every chat, whatever my question, I feel like I'm dealing with someone who understands my business. The level of dedication makes me feel like they've got my back.
And they've got a lot of great young talent, but you know this, Chuck, when you get in the postseason, coaching matters a lot, and your ability to make adjustments. And one thing that Dallas has now with AD on that front line, they can play any style, offensively and defensively. Like, that's the thing that sometimes gets lost. People are discounting how great a player Anthony Davis is. That's all I've been hearing is, the Lakers, they got fleeced. I'm like, are y'all smoking crack? I mean, Anthony Davis is one of the 3 best bigs in the league, and I would say, based on what we've seen from Embiid, he's one of the 2 best. And he's a guy that you can run your offense through as well.
Well, and I listen. Let me tell you something. And a pissed off Anthony Davis is probably even more dangerous than he, because you talked earlier about Luka being shocked. AD's in shock too. He's probably playing the best he's ever played, and to get that call in the middle of the night or late night that you've been traded, like he had, like I say, man, I think both guys got to be in shock, to be honest with you. I mean, but Luka is obviously in serious shock, but AD's got to be shocked also. But Greg, I agree with you, man. OKC, they're my favorite to win this thing. But, man, the Dallas Mavericks, they might have just became the second best team in the Western Conference, because the jury is still out. I think Denver needs to make a trade because they need to get some bench help. The Rockets are so young. I'm not going to take the Rockets beating the Mavs in a 7-game series. The Memphis Grizzlies, I like their team, but man, Dallas,
this going to be a very fun thing to watch. Now, what gets interesting is the De'Aaron Fox and the Jimmy Butler thing, because that's everything got ramped up. This going to be a fun next 3 days, buddy. I cannot, because now you're like, if you're my Phoenix Suns, I'm trying to think who else is something.
Minnesota.
You got Minnesota. You got the Brandon Ingram situation down in New Orleans. You're like, somebody got to do something because the Mavs jumped to the front of the line. So now I think it's going to be crazy the next 3 days. Because Thursday's the deadline, obviously. But if you're like, wow, the Mavs went from mediocre to really good in one night. What can the Suns do? What can Minnesota do? What can the Lakers do? The Lakers got to do something else, in my opinion.
Chuck, before we let you go, I got to ask you this. You know, after you got traded to the Suns, like you're talking about, you won the MVP the next year, right? You talk about Anthony Davis being pissed off. Forecasting Luka Doncic over the next maybe season and a half, are we going to see the best potential version that we've ever seen of Luka Doncic? Because he's got to be pissed, like you said, too.
Well, first of all, he should be pissed because they called him fat. They called him fat and lazy.
Why you get mad when people tell you the truth, though? They do say the truth hurts. I take that back.
You know, I told this story. I wasn't getting to play my first year in the NBA, and Moses Malone pulled me aside. He told me that I was fat and lazy. And I cried, Greg. I ain't gonna even lie. I cried, but I was fat and lazy. And Moses took me under his wing, and I lost 50 pounds and became a Hall of Fame basketball player. Nobody has been capable of telling Luka that he needs to get in better shape. We've talked about this ain't like something new. We've been talking about it for 2 or 3 years. He needs to get in better shape. And the Mavs made a decision. We're not going to give you $350 million. But if you're not in shape now, you ain't going to be in shape when you get older. So they made that decision. They know him better than we do. It's easy. He's a great player. I think we all agree. But Nabil, he has to get in better shape. But it's going to be very interesting because I don't know if him and LeBron can play together. They're so ball dominant. They're both so ball dominant. LeBron is probably the best power forward guard combination ever at having the ball. And Luka has to have the ball. I don't think Luka's ever ran a play where he didn't have the ball. So it's going to be smooth sailing for Anthony Davis when he gets healthy because he's that great. But, man, it's going to be a big adjustment for Luka and LeBron playing together. So I think it's going to be a long-term play for the Lakers, a long-term play.
Chuck, we appreciate you doing this, man. Like you said, it is just going to be fascinating. I thought the glasses comments were on point. The DoorDash thing from GA, that was unnecessary. All right, that was unnecessary. The DoorDash was unnecessary.
Nabil, let me tell you something. This is the same guy who masquerades as a 10 handicap and shoots even par.
That's not true.
Now you hurt his feelings. I know that.
I have never said I was a
You're one of the biggest cheaters. You're one of the biggest cheaters in the world.
I gave you 5 aside.
Greg, you should be giving me more than 5 aside.
It's what you asked for.
Because that's my ego.
Hey, Chuck. Moses, God rest his soul. Moses, he was half right. You are not lazy. You are not lazy, Chuck. You are not lazy. Chuck works hard.
See what I can work at it?
Yeah, well, I'm on the track.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go last yet. Me and Mom got to go last yet.
That's
Yeah. And then I said I wasn't gonna go to the gym today. I want to go to Lafayette twice.
He's at the crib.
All right. Yeah. Trump got the prices going up, man. Gas prices and everything else. Everything. He talking about, I was looking at the Waffle House.
I said, yeah, waffles
He's talking
going up,
about, the eggs.
eggs going up.
That's, from the parks. Okay. Make sure that you know. Anthony Davis, he playing or he's hurt right now?
Anthony Davis should still be playing.
I know he's hurt. It's abdominal. Yeah, that's a little tweak. Luka might take a little late. When it sits out, he'll be back. Okay. Hey. I have no idea. I'll have to call and see. Let me call and see. Quick stop. To the 5 o'clock. All right. Hey. You talk baby shit? Oh, okay, just, all right.
So I forgot they have their couples thing. See me, sir. Little man, what's the word, Rado? So I forgot they have the couples thing. So I'm not about to finish recording right now because it's gonna just be cold food. So we're gonna take a break, like probably an hour break. Everything is gonna be ready real quick. Now that we said that, I was at the last route anyway, so it's all good. We're gonna lower the temperatures down on the oven. We'll go stream some games for y'all, and then we'll be back for the actual cooking stream. Much love to everybody that put up, though, for sure.